transformation that's kind of taking shape in township areas, where once property investment was a limited idea. It wasn't even an idea at all. There is now a growing confidence and a creativity that is blossoming in these areas as we mention it. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the stronger communities that are being built, but also just a renewal in terms of how people are viewing their properties as spaces for investment. Gavin Mkhabela joins me as a financial advisor, property investment strategist on the show. Gavin, welcome to Channel Africa. Pleasure to have you join us this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me yet again. Truly appreciate you. I hope you're good.
I am wonderful, sir. Thank you. I think this is a very exciting conversation, considering that 20 years ago, had we had this conversation, you and I, it would have been completely different. You know, options were there, but very limited and available only for a specific demographic. But because the world is changing and shaping and shifting, and young people are becoming so proactive in matters around property and, you know, turning their grandmother's house into, you know, some sort of investment property. Let's talk about it. What has changed in recent years to make the township property market and development more attractive, if I could use that word, when we look at investment and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, look, I think one of the key elements that have really played a factor is that obviously we're seeing a lot of retail, big guys coming into townships, obviously building malls. We even see in other, areas that you'll have, office spaces coming through. So obviously that in itself, it's creating this, diversification around, especially how people work. So they don't necessarily have to go to, they travel far. So they're finding these spaces a bit quicker. In terms of the shopping experience, yes, you can go into, the suburban areas to go and shop, but now, that experience has been brought closer. There's a big mall, coming up in Soshanguve, and that in itself, you look at the features, so beautiful. So that experience is becoming now closer to home. So obviously that means that, especially from an investment perspective, as an investor, as a developer, you want to obviously cater to now the different kind of market. Now we are seeing back rooms moving into more the multi-let, which great features coming through. So I think the aspect of now all these things are becoming closer to people. That plays a big and a major role.
That sounds exciting. And I think also just from the perspective of just instilling more confidence and a renewed pride in our local spaces is also quite important. Gavin Mkhabela joins me on the line. He is a financial advisor, property investment strategist, and we're talking about the booming investment and development space within township settings. 20 minutes past 2. We're back after this.
Siyabangena manje. Vito iJabulani Nkolele iMagoda. Jabulani is a young man from Giyani in Limpopo in South Africa. Very easy guy, taking things easy. To know me is to know that I love what I do, which I'm crazy about it. So when you hear me on radio, expect the best. Expect great music. Expect great content. Expect 180 minutes of nothing but fun. You'll find me on the morning reset, 3 to 6 a.m., Monday to Friday. Siyabangena baba. Ay. Mbuleke.
Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can only get it on the Upside. Every weekday, 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
We're 21 minutes into 2 p.m. Welcome back. We're talking about the township spaces. We're using South Africa as an example and looking at the fast-growing opportunity and entrepreneurship opportunity, if I could say, around township properties and how it's getting better and better for the locals. Gavin Mkhabela joins me on the line. He is a financial advisor, property investment strategist. Gavin, let's talk about how improving the quality of housing in the township spaces as we see it, how does that affect the surrounding community and the economy overall in locality?
I mean, it plays a major role in a sense that, I mean, if we go back, I would say maybe 10 years ago, we'll look at in terms of how especially the back rooms, aspect of things, how they were structured, how they were done, compared to now. Like it seems like at other places you're in a different world. Of course, when that happens, it means now that somebody that might be thinking of going to, let's say, Midrand, now they are in, Ebony Park, because in terms of the how the units are done, it's great, especially now you look at there's an emphasis around, one wants me to have their private toilets or bathroom. They want to have their little kitchenette. So in essence, if now I have all these things that I would get in, let's say the Lani places, I can get it here in Township and for a far lesser price. So obviously that means that your young professionals, guys that are working, people that can afford that, or they could afford to go out of the township, they now stay, or some of them even moving from, the suburban places and going back into the township. So obviously that, increases the economic activity within the township itself, because as much as a lot of the townships or communities are reliant on, your social grants, but when you now mix it with people that have, even a much stronger, spending power, that obviously means that is why we're seeing even, retailers and other businesses, which are big, coming into the townships because they want to invest there, because they see that there's a lot of growth. So all of a sudden, the LSM, is no longer from a low side of things, but we're now moving even to the middle end, even to the higher end, in the township, which is great, which makes that the township economy becomes vibrant, and it's maturing as we are going.
Okay. There's a lot going on. And I'm also just thinking about, perhaps before we talk about developers, Gavin, let's talk about using the structures that are currently there, which were not very, very beautiful houses to live in. The toilet was outside and it was just a 3-roomed house or a 4-roomed house, using Soweto as an example. But let's talk about the design features that we're seeing now. I mean, you mentioned some of them in your response earlier, but how are those making properties more appealing? But also, how are people in the township now using those opportunities to get tenants to bring in some business for themselves?
Yeah, look, I mean, it really covers a lot of things. I mean, for example, if you look at prepaid meters, for example, right? Prepaid meters are really solving our issues, because I'm also in that space a lot, where I am helping investors, especially with multi-letting, right? And when you now have prepaid meters, that in itself, as much as it's convenient to the tenant, because if it's multi-letting now, it means that maybe there's one house and there's 5 tenants. Now, within that space, obviously, if now we share electricity, then we don't know who uses more. And now there becomes, obviously, there's a fight coming on in terms of, I don't use more, but I'm paying more. But if now there is now these prepaid that are able to regulate how we're now running that particular investment property, that definitely helps a lot. And it also helps from the basis of the investor can start to, able to reconcile much easier than if there's just one collective in terms of supply, even water itself, because there's some of the things that we are also looking at. But coming to the tenant, it also means that I can control my spending, so I know exactly what I use. So that's one of those things. And again, you have things such as your Wi-Fi. That is now a major draw card as well coming in. People want to have access to connectivity, and not just access to connectivity, but reliable, connectivity, so that, because now people are also working from home, and people are now obviously doing, doubling into not just working one job, but you now maybe have 3 jobs. So all these things definitely then become, it becomes a key thing when we are now looking at the environment of the township in particular as well.
Okay, that's an interesting layer, especially for multi-lets, which are becoming quite a thing in many spaces. And obviously, I would imagine developers are really using the township market to not only make the properties affordable, but also high quality. But with that said, let's look at the role of institutions, government policies as well. How can they better get involved and also show support for property growth in township areas?
Look, I think it has been exciting. To see the government coming in. We are seeing, in terms of especially regulation, red tape around when you construct, even when you renovate. There has always been the difficulty and the frustration that comes, from the developers as they, even if not the developer, even you as an individual trying to maybe, create a business through your own property. Now, to legalize that has been such a headache. And the bottleneck has really been from the local municipalities, because I think one of the issues that we have seen the recent years is that you would have then people that are working in these local municipalities. Some of them don't even understand, the landscape around property within the communities in which they serve. And that necessitated, obviously, the whole process of a lot of engagement that has happened. And I can see that it's improving, which means as well now financing is also starting to flow, where now, whether you are a small scale kind of a developer, even just a normal person who has a property but wants to develop it, we now have a better kind of sort of appetite from financial institutions. We obviously help our clients a lot around banks. We are seeing banks also financing those kind of developments. So there's still a long way to go, but I wouldn't say it's still the same frustrations that we saw 5 years, even 10 years back, so it's improving as we go, but it definitely requires a lot of, especially from a local government perspective, we need to see them coming on board and really start to come in so that people can legalize, because at the end of the day, when one wants to legalize and then they think about the red tape, they think about the cost, then that's where we see the illegal structures coming through, which also obviously poses a lot of danger to our communities.
Right. Such valuable information. And I think also what's beautiful to note, Gavin, is how those opportunities within, financial borrowers, as it were, the banks and other financial institutions are opening up space for women to participate economically in the property sector. But lending options for women are available, opportunities are available, which is so wonderful. I wish we had another hour because, man, I have so many questions, but we've got to wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Gavin. Where can we find you if we are looking to expand our portfolios and really become seasoned property investors? Where can we talk to you?
So they can just put me up a WhatsApp or a call on 074 412 7614, 074 412 7614, or they can simply go to our website www.gavshaw.co.za. On social, it's Gavin Mkhabela. I'm very active. TikTok on Thursdays, 8 p.m. I always talk property, so they can tune into TikTok. I'm available there every Thursday at 8 o'clock in the evening.
Okay. TikTok sounds like a great idea. I mean, we're all there, so let's make sure we connect there. Gavin is of course based in South Africa, so should you wish to connect with him, you are most welcome to. Coming through in his capacity as a financial advisor and a property investment strategist. It's time for sports.
Sports on Channel Africa.